Hey everyone, it's just Dr. Andrew Orr here. I put up a post the other night about preparing foods, and I think it was quite an interesting one because a lot of people that come in to see me as a patient or my family and friends often say to me that how hard it is to eat well. And, a lot of the time when they say this, I'm sitting there talking to them nicely, of course. I do have a little joke, and when I call them on it, I often say to them, sorry, that's bullshit. It's not hard to eat properly at all, and it's all about priorities. Now, when I did the post the other night, I had a couple of people that, you know, got a little bit arky about it, and obviously didn't read into what I was talking about, and also not understanding where I'm coming from either. Now, I'll tell people first before people, make presumptions and things like that. I always am very open that I've got a chronic pain condition that I live with daily. I get up every day, even when I'm feeling like feeling like shit, and I go to work. I drag my sorry ass out of bed. If I've got to take medications and stuff like that, I do it. So I'm waiting on my 8th off at the moment because my condition has got to a point where I've managed it really, really well. But unfortunately, when you've got pain in your head and a disease grows back, like I always say to people, it's a bit like endometriosis, it grows back. It has to be surgically dealt with. So there's a point, and I do everything I can in the meantime to manage and everything as well. And I always tell people, I've got asthma, so, asthma can kill you. And I always am upfront about that I've got a genetic condition called hemochromatosis, which, can cause a variety of symptoms as well. But as long as I, keep doing my sections and stuff like that, I can live a healthy, normal life. It's the same with any chronic disease. As long as you are being treated properly, and then you go about managing it properly, and then you adjust your diet, your lifestyle, your emotional status, and do the work, you can live a normal life. It's just that a lot of people aren't doing that. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the reality. A lot of people aren't. And the whole thing is then when you add on extra weight on, you've got extra body fat, which is inflammatory. You're eating inflammatory foods. We put in alcohol, and then we're reliant on medications and things like that, and painkillers. It destroys your microbiome. Your gut adds to further inflammation. It's this whole big spiral and pain cycle. And then not exercising. Let's be real about this. The more that you get your body moving, the better everything is. I said the other day, it's like damming up a river. You dam up a river, the water stops flowing, becomes brackish, and it becomes stagnant. And that's what happens to your body and your blood flow and everything. Nothing moves, and then everything's just heightened, and the lack of circulation causes more pain and everything. So it's this whole vicious cycle. And people say, I can't do this and I can't do that. Yes, you can. I've been at that point. I've had chronic fatigue where I've got out of bed and only walked up to the block and back. You can do it. It just means doing the start. And I think someone said, oh, you don't understand, pain and how bad it is on some days. I can only do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yes, I do understand. And that's the one thing I try and get to people. I do understand your pain. I understand it very well, not only from a personal perspective, but I also understand it from a clinical perspective and treating people for over 20 years, and also from all the education and my degrees as well. I've done, that's what I do. So I understand it on levels that many people don't understand it. So I understand it, but I also keep saying that a lot of people's problems is they're not moving their body, they're not eating well. And sure, some conditions, like I say, it's not going to stop it, but you can manage it. Same with endometriosis and things like that. There's no cure for it, no cure for asthma, and there's no cure for that, but you can manage your symptoms so that you're asymptomatic. And even if the disease is there, you're not in pain, you're not in all these other symptoms and associated symptoms that go with it. So when people arc up at me sometimes, I get a little bit annoyed, because what they don't see is from my end that when I actually talk to people as a patient, when I say that I'm calling them on their bullshit, and what they have to understand is that we do, as practitioners, put up with a lot of transference, I'll call it, because people like to dump and then try and put something onto someone else as though it's their fault when something isn't working. But when we as practitioners often ask people, it's the person not working. They're not doing their diet. They're not doing their medications. They're not exercising. They're not doing everything that they're asked to do, yet they're waiting for a miracle to happen. And often I get people coming in and I go, how's it? Oh, it's worse. And, oh, no. And I go, have you taken your medication? No. Have you done your diet? No. Have you done it? So how do you think it's going to change then? Oh, but, so this is what I'm trying to make people understand, that when I often talk about things, it's actually coming from a place of caring, that I want people to get up. I want them to take action, because that's the best thing they can do. I think someone mentioned something about demographics of people that don't have, spoons and forks and blah. I'm not talking about those people. There are people in this world that don't have food, and they don't have clothes, and they don't have the basic necessities. I'm not talking about those people, and I'm not that sort of person. So I think someone said it was being judgmental. I'm not here to be judgmental. I'm talking about the people who have the capability, they have the income, or even in Australia, we are quite lucky. Even our lower socio demographics here do get, some form of benefits and support as well. And there's housing commission, all kinds of stuff that some countries don't get. So we are lucky here. And, the public health system, despite all its inadequacies, and is pretty good, really. When it all boils down to it, we're pretty damn lucky. So when I talk about this, I'm talking about the average day person, not somebody in a tribe or sitting in the back blocks of, India that can't. I'm not talking about, and those sort of people probably not even tuning in to me. That's not what I'm talking about. So I don't want people to come on and say that rubbish, because I'll give you short shift really quickly, because I'm not judgmental at all, as someone was saying. So I take offense to that, because I'm here to help people. But it's like kids even. Kids will try it on any way they can. And I'm sorry, but some adults are like kids. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you're like, yeah, you can. It's just a choice. You choose not to do it. So if you choose not to do it, don't come in whinging and saying, I'm still in pain, still in this, and but if you haven't done it. If you've done all those things and then you're still in pain, then come back and have a whinge to me, because that means that you're at a point that your disease has got so far ahead that nothing's really going to work, and we have to look at things like surgical options and all kinds of stuff. Or we have to try different measures, or there's an unrealistic expectation that because you've been doing it a week and you've had a disease for 10 years, you think it should be gone. So there's that too, unrealistic expectations, that expectation versus reality. The longer you've had a disease, the longer it's going to take. And we're all got this unrealistic expectation that, oh, I want to take a pill and make things go away. Well, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So sometimes we have to be upfront and set boundaries with people, and call them on them being like a little child, because that's what it's like. It's being like working with children. It's saying, hey, you're an adult. You can do this. But I'm busy. I'm there. Yeah, I'm busy too. I've got children. I've got to get out the door. I've got a busy practice to run. I've got a disease to live with, and I've got to do all the same things as you, but I still fit in my exercise. I fit in time to make food, and healthy food, and store food and things like that. So that's where it's coming from. So I just wanted to sort of tell people a little bit about that, just in case anyone else takes offense. And that's the problem with with text and communicating via text and word is it often gets misconstrued because there's no tone, there's nothing about it. But when people come in, I'll walk them through stuff. But I will set boundaries too. I'm caring about it. I'm empathetic about it. I am very sympathetic to people's pain levels, especially. But at the same time, I do, if they're at a point where they're self-sabotaging, because let's face it, a lot of people are self-sabotaging really badly and creating their own vicious cycle by living in their disease and not wanting to move forward, because some people are happy in their disease. They are. Some people are happy because that's the way they get their attention. They don't get their attention any other way, because if the disease is gone, they don't get attention anymore. And that's sad, but that's the reality. This is reality. This is what happens for some people. And then we have some of these groups that are feeding the negativity, and all this is negative, 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 negative. And then, all this medical advice from people who haven't got a medical background at all in these groups as well. It's terrible. So when I come on here, I always say to people, one, I'm on here because I care. Two, I don't have to, none of us that put stuff on social media for education have to do it. We're not paid to do it. We don't get paid for it. Often takes time to do it out of our day, which could be family time, time for self. So when we put these things up and you're not paying for it, you should be grateful for it too. Anyone that puts information up about your health and that, be grateful to those people, because they're giving you something. It's a gift. It really is. It's a gift that you could use to your advantage. So again, when I tell people these things and like post up a post about making 10 litres of bolognese mix and then how many meals I got out of that, that's a gift, because out of that, I got 20 meals for under, say, around $40, which is $2 a meal. Now, even for someone, let's go to a lower socioeconomic group, $2 a meal is actually quite good. And that could be anyone, or you're a struggling student, or it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't take a lot to cook good food. And if you cook it in bulk, you could cook have like I said, 20 meals there for someone for $40. That could feed them for a week. And they might be eating the same foods, but I mean, you know what I mean? So double that, like $80 could have made twice that much, and they would have had food for a week. And not only for themselves, but actually a family, because a lot of those 1 litre packs will actually feed 4 people. So you see what I'm getting? I'm giving people a gift. But at the same time, I'm trying to make a point about people, and there's no other way to put it, but their laziness and their excuses, because it is excuses. And it's not judging them. It's just saying, hey, wake up to yourself. The only person making your life worse, or the only reason that you're overweight, or the only reason your disease has got worse is because of yourself. And you can't not talk about it. And you can do it in a way where you go and joke about it. And I often joke, people go, yeah, okay, that's fine. But you realize you're self-sabotaging yourself. And in that kind of tone. So that's what I'm trying to say. People can't just jump on things and go, oh, that's judgmental, blah, blah, blah. What you have to do, if you think that's judgmental, I think you need a good hard look at yourself and see what triggered you, because it's probably you're doing the same thing and you're triggered by the fact that you can't do it and someone's told you you need to. And again, you're actually getting it from a caring person that wants you to do better in your life. And it's the same what I want for anyone that comes through my doors or anyone that I speak to on social media. I care about them because I want them to not be in pain. I want them to, have a chance at a better life and live a normal life, and, not make the excuses and not be bedridden and not, have to suffer a life of pain. or symptoms or whatever. But generally, you know, if you're over, like let's say after Christmas and you're overweight, bar a few, you know, medical conditions, most people's weight gain is purely from laziness, lack of exercise, eating the wrong foods, and you put it there yourself, and you have to own it. You really have to own it. And at the same time, I understand that some people haven't been taught good eating either. So yeah, that's the other bit. So, but now there's more and more avenues, and yes, it can be confusing because there's a lot of people out there. Anyone can put rubbish on the internet. Let's face it, anyone can make a website, call himself an expert, which we're seeing now. And some of these so-called experts are making a lot of money out of it, and they've got no idea. And they're not walking the walk, and they can talk the talk. And I said that in my post. We see a lot of practitioners that are honestly the most unhealthy people. They're overweight, they bad diets, they chug down the alcohol and God knows what else. And then they're trying to tell people to be healthy. It's a bit hypocritical. So what that was my post to them too, is say, hey, wake up. If that's you, get off your behind, practice what you preach, and do it too. Like, I always think it's great when I see people that do the challenge with their patients and then get the same results. It's awesome. So that's good. So it doesn't take a lot to eat healthy, and that's what I'm trying to say to people. And because someone said, you know, food costs a lot of money these days, and yes, it does. But just for an example here, I'll just show you. I went to my local markets, right? And for under $40, I got all this stuff, okay? So I got, you know, I can see there's bok choy there. I've got bananas. I've got mandarins. I got a whole bag of lemons. Got cucumber. I got garlic, snow peas. You know, tomatoes, which are, there's 6 tomatoes there, a bag of carrots. I've got a whole broccoli. You can, well, actually, I mean, a whole cauliflower. There's 3 or 4 broccoli in that packet there. 4 avocados, mushrooms. I've got corn. I've got lettuce mix. I've got potatoes as well. And there's onions in the background there as well. So for all that, under $40 in a big box. Now, if you went to Coles or, you know, Woolworths or something like that, it'd probably cost you, you know, $80. So I think it cost me $35 all up. So let's just say 40 to be rounded up a bit. But that's what I'm trying to say to people. It's not that expensive, and it just means you've got to get up and not, again, don't go for convenience. Sure, it's easier to walk into Coles and all that, but what I do is I go to the market first, get all my veggies and stuff, and then on the way home, I'll call into Coles and go, well, all I need now basically is some other stuff. Like when I'm out at the markets, I also get my meat and everything. So I take my cooler bag with me and get my meat at a much cheaper price too. So like honestly, half the price of Coles. So when I go into Coles, all I'm going to get is some of the basic necessities, like, you know, some tin tunas and stuff, maybe the cat and dog food or whatever, you know, tissues, you know, all that kind of stuff. But most of my fruit and veggie and all, I've already got. And so I've just saved, you know, a lot of money. So all you're going in basically getting things in tin and things you can't get at the butcher locally, or you can't get at the market or whatever. So it might be, you know, like I said, some tin salmon and things like that. All right, I'm going to go. I wasn't going to come on here and explain, but I thought I'd better explain to myself so people don't think also that I'm having got people in pain. I'm not. God, I've had pain as well. It's done in a caring, sharing way. And it's also saying that if you're going to have a New Year's Eve resolution, go and do it. If you're going to go and see a healthcare practitioner, then it's no good going and see him. Like I say to people, it's no good coming and see me if you're not going to go home and do the advice. You just wasted your time. You've wasted my time. You've wasted a lot of things. And you're not going to get the results. If you don't do it, you're not going to get results. So if you don't take all your medicines, you don't go home and do everything I told you to do, you're not going to get any results. And then you've just got a 20-page report telling you what to do, but you're not going to do it. So that's the whole thing. Sometimes we do get frustrated as practitioners, we do, but it doesn't mean that we're judging you or anything. We understand where you're at, but at the same time, we'd like to push you to do it as well. And let's face it, it's like anything. If I don't take my medicine, if I don't go and exercise, I don't do anything, then I've only got myself to blame. And that's what I'm trying to make a point around. All right, everyone. I'll put up some more recipes soon, just to show people. I'm going to do a chicken recipe that basically it's pretty easy. It's just some chicken drumsticks. Sorry if you're vegetarian, I will get around to that at some stage, but yeah, for this moment, that'll be doing that. So some chicken drumstick with some fresh lemon, some fresh basil, some oregano, or oregano if you want to call it that, parsley, onions, some garlic and stuff like that. And honestly, it takes less than 10 minutes to prep it, and it takes about 30 minutes to cook it. So under 40 minutes, you've got a meal that feeds 4 people. For under, I think it's under $15. Actually, it might even be less than that. It might be, say, like $12 or something. But let's just say under $15, you feed 4 people. So, which, and my bolognese mix is actually even cheaper. But I just wanted to show people that it doesn't have to be expensive, and you can eat really nice food, and sort of restaurant quality food too, and things that really, really, really quick. Just so people know too that I'm not just someone, a healthcare practitioner coming on in here and trying to be a chef. I'm actually a qualified chef as well. I was actually a chef long before I did anything to do with medicine and complementary medicines and integrative medicine and stuff like that. And I also have a background in food science. So that's why I'm very big into microbiome and bacteria, because that was my job, to actually find out different bacteria and how it affects people and things like that. Bacteria in food, food poisoning, all that kind of stuff. I used to teach it. And then I went into the healthcare profession after that, after I had my own health issues and working as chef for 100, 90 to 100 hours, long stressful hours. And one day I woke up and said, well, I actually woke up in intensive care. That's what happened. And after all of it, it was stress. So yeah, I know what stress can do to you, and it can kill you. It can kill you. Absolutely, stress can kill you. So if anyone says stress doesn't affect your body, they're bullshitting you. Sorry, and sorry for swearing. But sometimes you just got to say it how it is, and I'm never afraid to say it how it is. Never afraid of telling you the facts, because that's what I'm here to do. It's to provide you with someone that's got multiple degrees, multiple years of education, multiple years of clinical practice, still in practice, but also got multiple backgrounds that can come from every angle as well on an integrative approach. So I will leave it there, and just so a little bit about me and what people presume and all the things is never presume anything about anyone, because everyone's fighting a battle that no one knows nothing about. So don't presume ever. It's don't judge a book by its cover either. They always say all these things. But the one saying that I will tell you to people about stress and all that and getting up and maybe, you're never too busy. But there is the saying that comes from the Buddhist side of things, is that, basically if the bow is strung too tightly and you put the strings too tightly, it breaks. The strings will break. But at the same time, if it's too loose, the instrument doesn't play. So to get that instrument to play, it's a fine balance, and it's about finding balance. So I'll leave you with that one, and go and find your balance, eat better, exercise. Everything should be about balance. It shouldn't be this extreme of everything. But that doesn't mean you can be lazy either and say, oh, it's all about balance, moderation, so I'll just do it once a week. It doesn't work like that. Don't make excuses. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening.